Today, I want to talk about The Odyssey. So, I watched it for the second time yesterday. So, I had the Thursday showing, and then I had another one on Friday. The one on Friday was not really planned, but I loved the first showing so much that I was just like, dude, I have to watch it again. Just on top of that, I was talking with some of my friends, and we're in the discussion of IMAX and Dolby, and I've actually never seen the same movie in two different formats and everything. So I wanted to just experience what the two would be like. Ultimately, I'm a big IMAX fan. I had just recently moved, if you can't tell, new setting and everything, but I had recently moved to an area that actually has an IMAX theater. And it's one of the best things I've been experiencing since leaving my last home. With my last place, it was just like standard screenings for everything. There were no IMAX theaters. The nearest one was like 5 hours away and everything. So it was really cool to be able to actually experience a movie like this in that caliber, And even if I were to live back home, this is a whole tangent. If anything, this is a big rant. Not a rant. This is just me spieling my thoughts out because my friends haven't seen this movie and I just need people to talk about this with. Anyways, my thoughts on The Odyssey. Spoilers, obviously, if you guys haven't seen the movie. If you don't care to be spoiled, you can stay. If you don't want to be spoiled, get on out of here because everything's just going to be spilled out. So I'm not going to give a rundown of like everything that happened one by one, scene by scene, but just definitely just certain moments that stand out and all that. I think the biggest thing that I've got like a takeaway from this movie was just how important the IMAX format is, film format and everything, especially 70 millimeter. So one of the big things that this movie was advertised with was this was entirely shot on IMAX cameras. I'm sure you guys will understand what the significance of something like this being shot entirely in IMAX. It's the first time it's ever happened for an entire movie. I was rambling to one of my friends about the idea of filming an entire movie in this way. The fact that each film reel is only 3 minutes of like footage. So you're swapping it constantly. The cameras themselves were too loud, which is why it was never done for an entire movie. The fact that they had to the IMAX team had built a whole like suppressing rig to silence how loud the mechanics of the camera are inside. Incredible. And I don't know if any other director besides Nolan could have such like a say over something like that. Because I was just talking to my friends about not spoiling anything, but just how important movies like these are. And like why this movie specifically was made to be filmed for IMAX. Obviously, IMAX movies are filmed to have, or segments filmed with IMAX cameras are filmed to be super grand. With the story of The Odyssey, a tale as old as like 3,000 years or something like that. It's so important to do it right, for one. And I know there was a couple movies made back when, but again, just having Nolan's take on it, just like his eye for such a grand scale for something like this is I think it's just such a perfect culmination of everything put together, if that makes sense. If you can't tell, I'm not scripting anything. This is all off the dome. So if things don't make sense, I'll try to edit it to make it sound cohesive and everything. But even then, it's just, again, rambling. But again, it's so perfect to film something like this of this scale in a format like that. Throughout the movie, we have moments that require feeling small in like a world like this. I think I just said small, where there are depictions of gods and mythical creatures and stuff, and doing it in such a standard way, I just feel like it wouldn't hit the same. And of course, like, I'm a big Nolan fan. I wouldn't say he's my favorite director, but he has made some of my favorite movies. I think how he handles narratives as well is just done really well. And it seems like with the last few movies that he's made, if not most of his movies, deal with the tragic hero, if you will. So like with Oppenheimer as well. Those who haven't seen Oppenheimer, spoilers. You're dealing with the moral repercussions of what Oppenheimer had made for like the bomb, So like he made the atomic bomb, and we're not seeing the aftermath of what had happened after the bomb was dropped in Japan. But it was more of like what's the aftermath of the man that made the bomb. Like, how does he handle such a crazy feeling of like, oh, I killed these people, basically. On top of that, it leads to like more destruction of the world and like eventually, maybe inevitably the end of the world, if you will. With the Odyssey and everything, you're seeing that as well with Odysseus and how the Zeus's law was one of the first things that we're hearing spoken about in the movie. Travis Scott's character, the bard, I think that's like the correct term. The bard, the poet, if you will, talking about the end of the Trojan War, and you're hearing these spoken words. I forgot exactly what was said, so forgive me, but he uses terms like war, man, a trick, broken into the walls of Troy, something like that. And with Zeus's law being depicted in the movie, and just kind of knowing a little bit of Greek mythology itself, that the gods, especially Greek gods, are very egotistical, very stubborn. They don't like to be disrespected in that way. So Zeus, being the god of all gods in Greek mythology, his way goes. And seeing that Odysseus had conjured up this plan to break into the walls of Troy, totally not like abiding by that law, he has a moral dilemma of the whole thing, which is why I think that is what leads to the curse, if you will, of Odysseus taking that voyage so long to get back home. I said that in such a weird way, but you know what I'm trying to say. In the original Odyssey, or the story that is being adapted from in the book, Odysseus gets himself and his crew cursed by Cyclops. Because in the book, it's a lot more campy. Of course, this is a 3,000-year-old story, so things were written differently and everything way back when. In the story, Odysseus claims that his name is Nobody after he tricks the Cyclops. Once him and his crew leave the cave, Odysseus has like an egotistical moment where he was like, oh, it is I, Odysseus, the man who broke into the walls of Troy, who had stabbed your eye out, basically. And that's when things kind of get put into motion in the story. Whereas I feel with Nolan's take, and I do like this take a lot, because with Nolan's movies, especially with like The Dark Knight and everything, he tries to stay as grounded in reality as you can. And obviously with the story of Greek gods, it's like, how do you manage that, But I do think that it's done really well, because we don't see any gods in the movie. Like Zendaya's character, Athena's like projection of herself onto this girl that Odysseus had last seen getting beheaded. Once all the chaos is happening in Troy. Again, like this is done in a somewhat realistic take, if you will, that I feel like I can appreciate, and I feel like that people would digest a lot more than if there were, physical beings of these gods being portrayed in these movies, or in this movie specifically. I don't know where I'm going to insert this. This is like a thought that I had at the end of the video. Now I'm bringing it back, so this is probably cut in somewhere. Going back to how Nolan handles like the tragic hero and everything like that. Man, I really enjoyed how Odysseus is portrayed in this movie versus in the actual novelization, or just the book, because as I was saying with one of the other segments, again, this is inserted after the fact, gods are very egotistical in Greek mythology. I think it also stems down to like war leaders and bigger figures within that era, like Odysseus being like one of the greatest like strategists for war, being like guided by Athena and stuff like that. If that's even correct, I could be so wrong about that. Forgive me. I know the internet can be really harsh, but like seeing Agamemnon, like Agamemnon's character, like this whole thing was like a pride thing for him, His brother's wife was taken by the Trojans, so he used that as an excuse to destroy the Trojans, like control over like the trade routes and stuff like that. And ultimately that led to Agamemnon's death, because after spending 10 years like waiting for that war to end, and then getting back home, he thought he was going to be welcomed with grace. Turns out he just died because he sacrificed his own daughter for the war, Like all the men are just so, yeah, no, it's all the men that are punished pretty much, Like, of course, like the women in the movie, like there's not any notable women other than Penelope and even Athena, but again, Athena's character is not really Athena. But like we're seeing these men being punished for their egos. And again, that's where I like Nolan's take on this movie, is because Odysseus, I would say he has a bit of an ego. He's very prideful, but also he is I feel like he's the most empathetic out of most of these characters within the movie, because he's the only one that doesn't want to create an example of deception, but he feels bad because he ended up doing that anyways with the Trojan horse. And again, that ultimately leads to everyone being cursed and all that stuff, or his crew being cursed and everything. But again, there's little moments like after they escaped the cave with the Cyclops, like he ended up shooting the Cyclops again with the bow, after they could have just escaped without any more casualties. He was so prideful of his men that he was like, I can't like not honor them in any sort of fashion. So he ended up, shooting the Cyclops again. But yeah, and that was another. I had my critique for this movie because there was a moment where Odysseus wanted to hear the Song of the Sirens. He wanted to be tied up. He wanted to be the first man to listen to it because no other man has ever listened to it and survived. But it felt like it was a little bit out of character for his depiction of this movie, or like his, like for that take of the movie. In the book, it makes sense because Odysseus, he wants to be known for being the one that got the Greeks into Troy. After leaving the Cyclops' cave, he told the Cyclops his name. That led to the curse. Went to the island of Circe. Slept with her for a whole year. He ended up staying with Calypso in the book, but I can't remember if it was in the book that he was under that lotus flower thing, because I know the lotus flower was a whole different piece. There was a whole different thing in the book. But either way, it just felt like it was a little out of place that he wanted to have that kind of experience with the sirens and stuff. But again, I could be so wrong about that. I've only sat with this movie for about like 48 hours, so other than that, I'm not sure if there's anything else I need to add for that segment. So depending on how that ends or how that fits into the overall video, it's gonna be a jarring cut, I'm sure. But anyways, and that leads into other inaccuracies with the story, with the story that's being adapted from. Again, I don't have an issue with any of these movies. Like, from the way I'm speaking about this, I think you can tell that I really resonated. Not even resonate. I just really like this movie. I gave it like I think it's a damn near perfect movie. Do I understand and do I see its flaws? Especially after the second viewing, I definitely saw some flaws that I would knock most movies down for just like a score or whatever. But again, I just like, there's just something about the movie. The sauce that this movie has is just insane that I can't do it. I although, like I said, I do recognize some faults that the movie has. Like, I think the editing is a little weird, but I think that's also just like a Nolan thing. Sound mixing, I feel like, well, even then, I feel like the mixing of this movie wasn't even that bad. Definitely loud, but I also think that was just like an IMAX Dolby experience. A couple jump scares, just because of the loud moments in the movie. If anything, not really anything too scary. Oh, speaking of scary, the freaking Cyclops and the Circe scene. Oh my god, dude! If Nolan doesn't direct like a horror movie at some point in his career, I don't even know. It's just like it was just done so well, handled so crazy. Like, I was not expecting it, because I hadn't read The Odyssey in such a long time, and I didn't even do a refresher within like the year. Within this year before it came out. It was like last year that I had watched something, and I completely forgot that Circe was a witch, and that she converted all of these men, these travelers and stuff on her island, or like at her home, to animals and everything. So watching that scene with zero knowledge prior, oh my god, or like very little knowledge prior, was such like a whoa kind of thing. Like, I was like, I don't really get super squeamish, especially for stuff like that, but man, it was just like a hard watch. And like, when she opened up one of the men's like mouths and like stuck her whole freaking elbow deep, oh my god, it was a whole like kind of moment. Again, with the Cyclops scene as well, it's just like the horrors of just like the contrast of the campfire and like the dark cave and everything, and his hand just reaching in and out. You just felt so trapped, and I think that IMAX did like the best thing that it could do there. It was just like, it felt like you felt so small in this scene, and I think that's what the movie does really well with the format of IMAX. So like I said, I'm really excited for the 70mm showing that I'm seeing in 3 weeks. I don't even know if I want to wait 3 weeks. I might watch it again before then. Overall, I just think that the movie does a really good job showing the importance of different formats like this, and why we should continue to strive for ambitious stories to be told like in this way, because again, like Nolan, he has a credibility for it, so he could asked the IMAX creators, the IMAX team, to rig up something like that to suppress the audio of everything so that they could film much more intimate moments. There was a moment too that I noticed it hit me more during the Dolby screening than the IMAX screening. When Odysseus made it back home, but he was talking to Penelope, she didn't know that it was Odysseus, and he was telling her the story of like the takeover of Troy, if you will. Like the music that was swelling there, it just like something hit me a little bit more. Like I damn near cried. I don't know what it was. I think it was just like, I think Ludwig's score for the movie is probably one of my favorites as well. He's been doing a lot of great work, especially with Oppenheimer, and I think he did Sinners as well. I honestly, I was talking to my friend Zach last night about this. I think I have him over Hans Zimmer. Is that crazy to say? I don't know. I prefer Ludwig's scores over Hans Zimmer's in these movies that we're watching lately. Like no fault to Han, bruh. It's just insane. It's just really, I don't know. The sound work for that movie, the music, the soundtrack was also just really great. Like I was saying, especially with the sirens, the siren scene. There was a moment during that scene that it hit me. It connected that part of Odysseus's return home and that siren scene. There was a motif in both of the songs that were used, and I was like, dude, like this is absolute cinema, you know. Honestly, me saying all this, it might just sound so superficial that like I was like, oh yeah, obviously, like that's how filmmaking works, that's how stories work. But again, it's just like this movie has gotten such a reaction out of me that I wouldn't say that most movies wouldn't. I just love filmmaking. It's just so cool. So it's interesting to see how this movie has a lot of hype, and there's a lot of people giving it very valid criticisms and stuff. But I'm also seeing that people are kind of giving it shit for not necessarily for little things, but just like things that I don't think matter in the grand scheme of things. That was a lot of things. Like the Travis Scott appearance. I don't find that weird. I really don't see how that was like a big issue. Like for someone that does like his music, say you were to watch the movie and you didn't know who that was, like I don't think that takes you out of it. Like obviously you won't even know who it is. So the fact that you do know, it's like that's just like, I feel like that's just any other actor, like any other major actor being in any other major movie, you know? It's like you're just seeing the person at some point. But again, I don't think that was a big deal. What else? I think there's also a big discourse online where I feel like people are just trying to have something to say all the time, and it pisses me off. It makes me so mad. Like I was seeing some tweets today talking about the moment between Telemachus. Oh my god! Like even Tom Holland's performance. Anyways, Telemachus and Penelope talking about, this is after Odysseus's return home. He's talking to Telemachus. Obviously, his son doesn't know that his dad is here. Telemachus and Penelope were talking. He was telling her to get remarried, basically. And there was a moment where he was really soft, really quiet, try to like maintain his composure and stuff, because like he knows in the grand scheme of things, like it's gonna be okay, you know. But obviously Penelope doesn't have the context of what's happening, so she lashes out, she screams at him and stuff, and everyone online, not even everyone, just like people online are talking about how, oh, she's out acting him, this and that, like screaming equals better acting and all that stuff. But just people, I just feel like people always have something to say when things don't need to be said at all, you know? Not every scene needs to be like a breathtaking Oscar-worthy like nomination kind of scene. But I feel like people are always trying to put other actors against each other, because not every actor is trying to outact the other person, you know? The goal of a movie is just to give a good performance, a believable performance, and I think that's what this movie does. There was not one scene that took me out of it. But again, I do notice its flaws, and there are some writing moments that I think were kind of iffy. But again, like at the grand scheme of things, I was able to look past it. It didn't knock any points off of it for me. So what else can I say about this movie? I don't know. I feel like I need to be prompted, if anything. I need to be conversating, you know. It makes it a little bit difficult. So if you guys have anything to say in the comments, please, I'll be more than happy to indulge. What do you like? What do you didn't like? I guess with all that being said, it sounds like I'm wrapping up the video, so I think we might as well just do that. So with all that being said, thank you guys so much for watching. What did you guys think of The Odyssey? What did you rate it? I don't know how often I'm gonna be uploading to this channel. Again, I felt the need to talk about this movie because I just had no one else to really share my thoughts with, and that's what I kind of like about this channel specifically. There's not really much structure, which kind of sounds rough, kind of sounds a little dumb, but the fact that there's no structure and the fact that I can kind of just dump all my thoughts out and not like a specific kind of way, I kind of like. But I'm sure sometime in the future, if I want to upload more to this channel, that I'll probably start structuring things a little bit differently. But yeah, at the end of the day, I just love watching movies, and I hope you guys enjoy my rambling sessions, because I feel like it's really fun to watch a movie, watch other people get excited about the thing that you like, or even if you don't like the movie and you're watching someone else get excited, it's like, why don't you enjoy the energy that's being given out? This is so fucked. It's like, not in my brain, none of this makes sense. I don't know where this outro is fitting in. I don't know what I've said, because that was like 15 minutes ago. But anyways, if you guys enjoyed the video, be sure to leave a like, subscribe if you're new, and hopefully I make another video soon. I want to talk about more movies. I've just been so fixated on the format of these, but I really do like how chill these videos are. So if you guys have any suggestions, please let me know. Comment below your thoughts on the movie and all that stuff. I've said all this. But yeah, anyways, I'll see you guys in the next one. Later.